When conflict begins to arise, embrace it. Instead of reacting, emotional intelligence activities, as suggested, are attempts to create, develop, and sustain an individual's emotional intelligence, known as emotional quotient. Most people are keen on improving their emotional intelligence for different reasons. The following are some of the motivations to work on your emotional intelligence. You want to succeed in a leadership position, seeking to align with a new organization, trying to branch out of the network and develop new contacts, beginning a new business and seeking to enhance your customer service. Most people seek to improve their emotional intelligence, mainly to comprehend themselves and the persons they interact with on a routine level. Fortunately, there is no adverse outcome of becoming emotionally intelligent than you previously were, as well as the benefits can be numerous. For you to improve your emotional intelligence, then be assured that you are part of a large network. Applying emotional intelligence tools through activities and exercises. Encourage emotional intelligence development in your students and children as well as enhancing the emotional quotient of your team. There are several activities, resources, and tools you can employ. Activity 1. The following goal will enable you to enhance emotional intelligence, as well as assist your clients in improving their emotional intelligence. Start by reflecting on your emotions. Let others give their views about your emotions. Take note of your emotions. Employ the pause by taking a break to think before speaking. Respond to the gap between communications by taking another person's viewpoint. Do not take offense when criticized, but instead ask what you can learn. Continue practicing all of the above repeatedly. Activity 2. The overall intent of this activity is to increase the emotional intelligence of the team. Find a ringleader. Determine team members' weaknesses and strengths. Ignite passion. Create norms of the team. Create innovative ways to handle stress. Let all team members have a voice. Lastly, encourage members to play and work together. Equally important is that when working with a group, there is a need to cultivate trust among members, develop a sense of group identity, and a sense of group efficacy. All these factors are positively linked to the emotional intelligent group. It is important that you build norms and values that relate to emotional intelligence, as well as the suitable atmosphere and willingness to create and grow team emotional quotient. Attaining all these will require comprehending and managing emotions at a personal level. Comprehension and management of emotions at the team level should also happen. Then there is awareness of and intent to work with emotions outside the group. Ensure that you sustain the mentioned 3 levels as you seek to grow the emotional intelligence of your group. Let the members understand that it is not about the individual, but about how they relate with each other, as well as with the others outside the group. Activity 3. In an organization, leaders have a primary task of influencing, communicating, and contributing to the vision of the organization. Emotional intelligence is critical in operationalizing this role. In this activity, there are 10 descriptions of behaviors that kill visions that a leader can engage in, and a scale premise that allows for scoring individual engagement in each behavior, from rare to common. Let the members of the team give examples of the following behaviors that cripple vision in a team or organization. Handling people poorly, such as not displaying perception of care and not thanking the people. Respecting people will make them feel valued. Lack of providing good examples as a leader. Taking up multiple activities at once. focusing more on the task and forgetting about the people. Lack of clarity in the direction given. Providing inconsistent direction. Avoiding being accountable for failure. Concentrating on the detail and overlooking to respond to the need to justify the action. Displaying insignificant or no personal commitment to the vision. Recruiting non-performers in the group. If your leader frequently engages in the described activities, then the emotional quotient of the leader, and ultimately the group, is low. Fortunately, it is possible to effectively remedy the situation through activities and exercises. Additionally, pay attention to the 3 behaviors before you participate and dedicate yourself to perform. Activity 4. In this activity, the focus is on evaluating temperament. This activity is intended to assist participants in knowing about temperaments, learn how to cope with their temperament, and comprehend their temperament. Human temperament consists of feelings and tendencies that are impacted by the following parameters, namely, physical attributes, genetic inheritance, environmental conditions, and life experiences. The following is the activity. With 3 adjectives, describe your temperament. Select the ones that describe you best. Then suggest 3 adjectives that others employ to describe your temperament. Now review each of the adjectives identified in the above questions and try to classify the response to genetic inheritance, environmental conditions, physical attributes, and life experiences. State how each of the temperamental factors influences you on a personal level. State how each of the temperamental factors impacts you on a leadership role level. Out of these factors, which one do you wish to change? And state the reason for the intended adjustment. Activity 5. In this activity, you will learn how to manage your emotions. For many of us, it is a challenge to welcome criticism when getting criticism, as it provokes emotional responses. In this exercise, you will learn how to modulate and regulate your emotions in a challenging situation. The following is the activity. Imagine you are fog and act as a fog. If someone throws a stone at you, proceed to absorb that stone without throwing it back. With continued practice, you will realize that this is a very easy and effective technique to employ against people who continue criticizing you repeatedly. Let someone speak the following to you with a condescending tone. You are lazy. You just don't understand. You don't feel responsible. You are always late. Then respond in the following manner to the statements above. Yes, I am lazy sometimes. Yes, I just don't understand. Yes, I just don't take responsibility. Yes, I was very late. By learning to accept the criticism that is directed at you without taking it personally, you will discover that you disarm the individual criticizing you. Practice by asking someone you know well to criticize you at a successive speed that is one after the other, and then deploy the technique above to overcome it. Group activities. Activity 6. In this activity, you will learn how to understand and accept your emotions as part of critical fundamental skills linked to emotional intelligence. This activity will require a group of participants, even though it can be reduced to individual performance. Start by splitting your group into pairs and make them sit far enough from the other pairs to enjoy some level of privacy. Make each pair decide who will start. Inform the group members to understand that they will each get an opportunity to share an experience where they felt aggrieved. As soon as one member has explained the experience, let the member explain how he or she felt due to that experience, with all the details, and by reflecting about their particular feelings at the moment and how it affected them afterward. Proceed to allow the member 15 minutes to share and for the pair to discuss. Then make them swap roles. When executing this activity in a group, invite each person together and have a group discussion through questions like the following. A. When you were told to share a challenging encounter with another person, what came in your mind first? B. How did you manage to share it? When you shared it with another person, how did you feel? C. After acknowledging and accepting your emotions, how did you feel? D. Do you feel that this activity assisted you in learning to welcome certain experiences that make you feel negatively affected and feel a specific way after negative experiences? E. After accepting your emotions created by your experience, did you feel more at peace? F. Lastly, would you engage in this exercise to evaluate and acknowledge your emotions after negative encounters? Activity 7. In this activity, you will make eye contact to enable you to understand better your emotions and how we link emotionally with others. Start by gathering some index cards and share them with the participants. Then ask the participants to spread out within the room. Ask the participants to picture themselves in an art gallery. Then move the participants through the 3 phases given below. Stage 1. A. Have your participants roam around the venue as if they are in a public space, while avoiding eye contact with anyone else. The participants should improvise and act the role. B. Give this part an allowance of 1 minute. C. Interrupt everyone and ask the participants to note down their feelings on their cards. Stage 2. D. For this stage, let your participants try to make eye contact as they walk around the room. As soon as they make eye contact, ask the participants to break it and look away. E. Give an allowance of 2 minutes for this stage. F. Ask everyone to stop and let them capture their feelings on their cards. Stage 3. G. In this phase, let the participants make eye contact, and after making eye contact, let them pair up with that person. The participants should stand side by side and should not establish eye contact with another person. H. Set aside 2 minutes for this part. I. Ask everyone to stop and let them record their feelings on their cards. J. Invite everyone back together and follow with a discussion. For the group discussion, allocate 10 minutes. Let the following questions direct the discussion. While navigating through different stages of the exercise, how did you feel? How did you react when making eye contact and you had to disconnect immediately? How did it respond when you established eye contact and you could approach the individual to pair up? In the case that you were slow to pair up with someone, how did you feel to work around finding someone you could establish eye contact with? How easy was it to establish eye contact with someone? Rate the closeness you felt with the individual you established eye contact with. What preconditioning defines our behavior in establishing eye contact? How does that compare different societies? Activity 8. This activity will motivate participants to share information about themselves with others in a manner that encourages group cohesion and intimacy. Begin with a flip chart with questions on it. What do you spend money on? What spurs you to wake up in the morning? What was the happiest encounter in your life? In the same measure, what was your unhappiest encounter in life? Describe your friend. Whom do you consider the most critical person in your life? As soon as everyone is seated and ready, ask them to sit in a semicircle facing the flip chart. Then randomly select one member to respond to the questions on the board. Inform them that they have 10 minutes to wade into as much detail as possible. Furnish the other members not to pose questions or interrupt during those 10 minutes, and move on to the next participant. Pose these questions at the end to initiate a good discussion. Does the exercise help explain specific behaviors and actions of colleagues? Did you find this activity useful to discover your members better? Does it help to share some personal details with colleagues? Did this session assist you in ironing out any misunderstandings between the participants? At the end of this exercise, you will likely feel more comfortable and connected with other participants and make you learn to read emotions in others, as well as listen attentively. Activity 9. This is an exercise to enhance your self-awareness. You will require a stack of 3x5 index cards to initiate this self-awareness task. Then you need a group of people. Stage 1. Pose this question to the participants. How do you feel? Let each participant respond individually as opposed to the mass response. Most participants are likely to respond that they feel fine, and this should lead to the following question on the activity. Why do we tend always to insinuate that we are fine, even when we are not? Sustain the discussion with questions like, do you find it convenient to speak about your feelings? What makes it difficult to manifest your feelings? Can you consciously adjust your feelings from one to another? Stage 2. Now discuss the criticality of understanding the wide range of human emotions to enable you to understand better yourself and others, and grant yourself the opportunity to regulate feelings. Direct the group to think of as many emotions as they can and note on each card. Then spread the cards around on a table to enable you to help the group avoiding creating duplicates. Stage 3. Gather all cards and place them upside down on the table. Ask each member to pick 2 cards at random. Ask each participant to show their cards and explain what it would take to get from one emotion to the other in turns. After each member gives their explanation, let other participants share their individual explanations. Then follow up with the discussion with questions. Activity 10. Filling worksheet to assess giving feedback as a way of enhancing your self-awareness competencies, and the following are some of the questions. 1. Reflect on when you were a leader and you expressed your stand and ensured that everyone followed. A. How did you react? B. How do you feel others felt? 2. Reflect on when you were a leader and communicated a stand and then retreated. A. How did you react? B. How did others feel according to you? 3. Again, reflect on when you were a leader and failed to take a decisive position on a specific issue when you were required to. A. How did you feel? B. According to you, how did others feel? 4. Reflect on when you were an employee and assumed a position on an issue and did not retreat. A. How did you feel? B. According to you, how did others feel? 5. Again, reflect on when you were an employee and expressed your stand on an issue, felt forced and retreated. A. How did you feel? B. According to you, how did others feel? 6. Now think of when you were an employee and you were forced to state your position on an issue and then retreated. A. How did you feel? B. According to you, how did others feel? 7. Reflect on when you were an employee and did not take a position on an issue and then later highly regretted that you should have retreated. A. How did you feel? B. According to you, how did others feel? At the end of this exercise, determine if you want to continue with self-exploration and emotional quotient boosting, and respond to the concerns of whether the questions were useful, and if you learned something about yourself that you did not know before. In case you filled this worksheet in a group setting, you can employ the following to ignite a discussion on when did you feel inspired by what others found out about themselves, and if their thoughts made you feel more comfortable about yourself. Activity 11. This is a self-awareness activity, and it starts with a difficult-to-initiate changes to yourself when you are unsure where to begin. Improve your self-awareness. That will assist you to figure out what your strengths are, where your emotional quotient competency levels lie, and where you should concentrate your self-improvement efforts. Develop a work list of 30 strengths, and the list should include the following: creative, positive, hardworking, confident, funny, imaginative, curious. Have your strengths on one side of the space, and on the other side, create space to determine 3 traits that you would like to improve. Go ahead and incorporate other areas you consider your weakness and want to improve on. Make a list personalized to you and modify it as needed. Activity 12. This is a social awareness activity and is intended for persons who are comfortable with self-awareness, but inadequate in social awareness competencies. Firstly, social awareness concerns how we comprehend others, how we identify and recognize emotions in other people, and how we manage emotions in social situations. Your worksheet should include 5 pictures of faces with different expressions, and a list of emotions on the other side, such as peaceful, happy, upset, frustrated, disappointed, stressed, relaxed, tired. You are free to match more than one emotion with each picture, and you are free to enlist more emotions if you like. The intent of the exercise is not to create matching emotions and the picture visualized, but to make you more aware of the emotions of the people around you and become more responsive and attentive in your interactions with others. Activity 13. This activity concerns relationship management as a way of enhancing your emotional quotient competencies, as well as relationship skills. Start by writing the names of the most critical people in your life in the green circles on a worksheet. Then think about what you know about each person and state 2 of their traits, features about them, or hobbies. The worksheet should provide 3 green circles and space to note 2 facts or attributes under each. Finally, the worksheet should give a tip if you are having trouble. You might want to focus on those around you if you had trouble listing something about the persons in your life. Learning something personal about the individuals in your life can enable you to maintain caring and positive relationships. Activity 14. This is a self-management activity that will help you enhance your emotional intelligence competencies. The importance of self-management is that it enhances self-awareness and is the ability to manage your emotions so that you are not captive to them. Self-management implies that you can control impulsive behaviors and feelings. Excitement, happiness, peaceful, relaxed, harmonious, calm, caring, cheerful, flexible, joy. In this worksheet, negative emotions include disappointment, stressed, exhaustion, anger, frustration, confused, concerned, anxious, defensive, worried. The worksheet focuses on anger, even though this activity can be directed at any emotion. Start by thinking of a time when you felt angry and how you navigated the emotion. Then describe how you reacted and the behaviors in the lines given below. Complete the following statement. The last time I felt offended, I... As soon as you complete the activities above, start planning on how you will manage future anger episodes by thinking about how you would like to handle the anger in the future. Offer a description of healthy management skills and behaviors and note them down in the space provided. The management and coping skills can be listed as A. Take a break. B. Breathe deeply. C. Take a shower. D. Go for a walk. E. Lie down. F. Distract yourself. G. Take a pause before speaking. H. Write about it. Activity 15. This activity may be highly suitable for teens who are just starting to explore emotional intelligence and focus on building valuable social skills. Prepare a worksheet that includes 2 spaces to note down 2 names, the 2 participating members. The user should note each letter of their name in a vertical format in the first space. Next, the user should note an adjective that gives a description of one of their desired traits for each letter of their name. The following is an example. J. Jovial. A. Assertive. M. Measured. E. Enthusiastic. S. Settled. Each user should complete their name and then do the same for the other individual who has impacted their lives positively. Completion of this worksheet will enable the user to begin thinking about themselves, their traits, attributes, and personality. This exercise will ultimately make the participants open-minded and keen to emotions, individually and those of others. Exercise A. Which activity did you find having a high impact according to what your emotional intelligence needs? B. Given a choice, would you prefer individual or group activities? C. Modify or suggest a new activity related to enhancing the emotional intelligence of a group or an individual.